Stuart McIntosh, and will be chairing tonight's meeting. I'm joined by Janie Regan, Charlie Law, John Brown, and Greg Jackno. We have two cases tonight. We're going to start with 11 High Road. We're going to change the order, followed by 87 Kensington. So for the High Road application, all five of us will be voting. And we need
Chairman, do you have a microphone in front of you? Yes. Everyone ready for their microphone?
Oh, I do now. So for 11 High Road, as I was saying, all five of us will be voting, and you'll need 3 consenting votes. For 87 Kensington, 4 of us will be voting. Greg Jackno, as you know, is an immediate neighbor to the applicant. He will be recusing himself. So again, for that, you'll need 3 consenting votes out of the 4. Okay? So let's start with 11, the High Road. Who will be presenting?
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Dordovic. Thank you so much for taking this, and thank you so much for accommodating me on the switch here. 11 High Road is on the corner of the High Road and Pondfield, so it's a corner lot. Be that with the code, a corner lot has 2 front yards and then side yards. The owner wants to put in a hot tub and has a trampoline. There's some photos that you might have in your packet. The backyard, the side opposite the primary front yard, and the side opposite the secondary front yard are both too narrow. The setbacks don't allow for anything there. So what we're proposing is a trampoline and the hot tub in the second front yard, which would be the front yard on the Pondfield side. And this is the elevation from Pondfield. So you can see there's that big stone wall. It's really about, the level of the property is about 8 feet above the sidewalk, and there's a dense hedge of trees. So it's really not visible from the Pondfield Road side. And from the High Road side, there's a stone wall as well. So the original proposed location, let's go back to that survey right there. The original proposed location is on the Pondfield side, toward in that lower left corner. We felt that was the best location, sort of hidden from all the neighbors. There's trees around the entire property. It seemed to be the most convenient. We got pushback from one of the neighbors that's most impacted, which was the neighbor to the left behind him on Pondfield Road. I couldn't tell from our perspective on doing our site survey that anybody was impacted, but I think they sent some photos from the second floor that you really could see it. So we want to be sensitive to that. It's the neighbor most impacted. It's the only neighbor impacted really with that location. So we have an alternate proposition where we move it forward. It's completely out of view of that neighbor now, further away in terms of noise, and then it's sort of in what was kind of on the corner of the primary front yard and the secondary front yard. There's a wall there on High Road and hedges, and on the opposite residence, also wall and hedges. It's completely, not visible to anybody now at this point. This was sort of a late alternate location proposal. I did send out, I hand-delivered letters to all the neighbors on Friday morning, probably around 11 o'clock. Oh, sure. Right there. So there's the High Road and the Pondfield side. So primary front yard, secondary front yard, and this is the alternate proposal for the hot tub and the trampoline. Again, I did send out follow-up notices to all the neighbors. I hand-delivered them. Again, Friday, late morning, around 10:30, 11. I haven't heard anything back. Our original mailings had letters and stamped envelopes that went back to Village Hall And I think Christina said we only got that one back, which would be from the neighbor right back here.
When you say you hand delivered, were they received or they left?
In the mailbox,
In the mailbox, but not to their hand?
no.
Have you heard any confirmation from this neighbor in question that the new location is acceptable to them, or that they won't?
I haven't gotten anything, so in the original mailing, I included a stamped envelope that went back to Christina directly.
Right.
Which is where she got the first letter from.
Right.
Again, that was Friday, Monday was a holiday, we haven't.
No, I understand. I mean, being perfectly honest with you, I don't have an issue don't have an issue per se with the trampoline and the hot tub.
Yeah.
But in this case, when there is a potential for disrupting neighbors,
Sure.
the neighbor's opinion is important. And it would be very hard to vote in favor of this tonight,
Sure.
for me, if we haven't heard from these neighbors that this new location is acceptable. I believe you, but I don't, I'm not them.
I completely agree.
Okay.
I completely agree.
I just want to, I second what he says about the,
Sure, and I third, I completely agree. Is there a resolution to where, if that's the only neighbor that's impacted, that we reach out to them directly and get their, I mean, can we base our judgment on a follow-up with them, or how does this work?
I think you need to work, my opinion is, I think you need to work it out with the neighbors, and if they have no objection, then I think you need to come back to us.
So it's next
How
month.
far, well, how far did you move it from your original
So we
location?
moved it about 40 feet.
40 feet, so do you think it's most likely they're not going to be able to see it from there? Or-
Yeah, from there it's not visible. Their property
Can you
kind
call
of,
them right now?
I'm sorry?
Can you call them? On the phone?
I don't know.
No.
Well, the other question is, there's others neighbors, maybe their opinion would change. I don't know, I'm not saying it would, but
Well,
it's
that's
a
true.
possibility.
Okay, but, okay.
Yeah, everybody was included in the original, and we got no response. We only got the one response back.
Yeah, but that was when they were...
Now that we moved it, I understand, yeah.
But on the other side, it really is no neighbor, because you have the high road, right?
Right.
Sorry?
There is no other neighbor, you have the high road, and then across the street.
Right.
Okay, so it's really that impacted neighbor. Because, one of the issues with hot tubs is not just the visual, it's the noise. I think you referenced that.
How do we what?
I think you referenced it, it's not just the noise.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's just.
Right here,
yeah.
right here, for them, in their letter, they only noted out as a visual thing. And we get it, and we want to be sensitive to that. Moving it forward takes out the visual and I think eliminates any noise issue. But again, it's them, and we haven't heard anything back. So I don't know what we do. Do we have to punt it for another month? Is that how this works?
I find it difficult to vote on it with not hearing back from the neighbors.
Sure.
Yeah,
If they are going to say anything,
And it can't
giving
be
them
voted
time.
approval contingent on their written approval. Can that
Well,
happen?
that's up to you.
I don't, so they wouldn't have to come back.
Again, it was Friday afternoon before a long holiday. Maybe they went away. Who knows? I don't know.
It would be conditional, subject to the neighbor in writing,
In writing?
confirming they were okay with that.
What we can even do is we can even stake it out
Don't you?
and have them,
Well, that you can sort out with the neighbor.
sure.
Don't you let them make the decision?
You've seen a lot of the applications we get, and they come with letters from all the neighbors saying, we approve, we approve, we approve. So we just need a letter like that from them saying, we're good with the new location.
Sure,
Leaving it up to the neighbors.
yeah.
If we had that now, we'd probably,
I mean, if they came back and said, no, we still don't like it, then yeah.
well, yeah, so that's why we just like, if we have the letter that
That's right.
we could do that, I don't see why we
Only
do.
yourself.
Yeah, I think probably that, we were just talking about, the best thing for you to do is discuss it with your neighbor, have them, contact the village, and then come back, okay? You've heard what we're all saying.
Yeah.
You know what the issue is. It's, for us, it's not the location, because you did you did move it, and so forth and so on. So see if you can get them on board.
Sure.
And the next meeting is a month from now. It'd be the third week in June.
So it can't be approved contingent on their approval. We have to punt it for another month.
Yeah, I don't think that is, appropriate, because that's, putting, unfair, undue pressure on the neighbor, that the village approved it.
Do we know if it's a full agenda for next month, or?
At this point, I have no idea. Paul? I think it's wide open.
Christina's not here.
And there's plenty of advance time. So if you talk to the neighbor over the next couple of days, have them reach out to the village, and then put it right on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Right, okay. Thank you. Okay, so let us move to 87 Kensington. Who is presenting?
Good evening. My name is Jim Faustini. I'm an architect. So we are proposing an application for parking or creating a new driveway within the front yard of 87 Kensington. The property is located in a B district, which is comprised of single-family and multifamily, detached and attached homes. We have some photos here of the subject property. This is 87 Kensington. The street view of the property. The house is set back substantially, approximately 40 feet from Kensington. The first floor elevation is also about 30 inches lower than Kensington. This is the rear of Kensington at the bottom. Kensington has a detached garage at the rear of the property, accessed by an easement to the north. That easement is approximately 400 feet long. It travels behind two buildings. This is a view of that garage from the middle of that, not the middle, but closer to the 87 Kensington property. This is a view looking to the south. Bless you. And then this is the adjacent property to the north. This is a townhouse structure with multiple residences. And below is the property to the south. This is a detached structure. I believe it's a one-family residence. Across the street is another detached residence. This is a corner lot. I believe the address is Avon. This is across the street on the east side, further south. Another property. This is a view from the garage. So I'm standing at the garage looking towards the easement area, and so it's quite a distance. Keep in mind that this picture is good. Just one second. Thank you, Paul. This picture is good because it actually shows how, on the left side, how the cars are parked at this time of day. But on the right side in the evening, they are also parked perpendicular. So it doesn't afford our client or the owner of 87 Kensington an opportunity to actually turn around and get out at night, basically, because it's crowded on both sides. We can continue, thank you. This is an aerial view, Google Earth view, looking to the north. That laser, sorry. This here is that travel easement. The property is here. If one were to access that garage, the garage is here. So this is 87 Kensington. We're traveling north, down a hill, back this way. That's 390 feet from the entrance to Kensington. So if he had to reverse at night, typically it's done in reverse, proceeding backward. This is Kensington again. Again, this is a view of that driveway looking to the south. The garage is here. So we start here and go all the way back to there. Thank you, Paul. Just another view. This is to the west. The Metro North train tracks are at the top of that picture, right here. Kensington, subject property is here. Our proposed driveway location that we're discussing this evening is this location. Just a tax map to show the adjacent parcels. That travel distance, the 390 feet that I'm using, is identified at Westchester GIS as a measured map. So it's indicated there, and this is a screenshot of that image. Tax map just showing the parcel and the adjacent structures. All the neighbors that were noticed. These are the plans that we provided. Now you'll see there is a change from our initial submission. Understanding the board's position and the idea of the property and the subject variance, we wanted to reinforce the application by potentially eliminating one of the variances that we had initially proposed. So this is a revision from the May submittal. This was revised and submitted to the board a few weeks ago. I slightly moved over the driveway. So one of the cited variances here is proximity to this side lot line. It was less than 3 feet. I've actually moved it over, so now it's not, it's more than 3 feet away. And also to afford the client an opportunity to create a planter and to try to screen that area. The actual size of the driveway is very similar. It's 12 feet wide by 20 feet wide. I'm sorry, 12 feet wide by 20 feet long. It's surrounded by a retaining wall because, again, there's the elevation change. So we were trying to maintain a certain level height of the driveway, and then surrounded by a guardrail or picket fencing to kind of dress up the area. We've also planted on the front and on the side. This is a view of the exterior elevations, a view of a car in that location, wide enough to afford some door swings, not wide enough to park 2 cars. And we've also dressed up the front entrance. You'll see in some of the photos you saw of the street view, there is a picket fence. We just dressed it up with 2 piers to accent the entrance. There is quite a bit of vegetation along the front, as you probably saw in the earlier renderings or the earlier photos. That vegetation would remain. We're also planning on planting behind the driveway to help kind of screen it a little bit. So this is the rendering at the bottom of the picture here. The 2 piers, the driveway, and then the planter area that we've been able to create to try to screen the driveway from the north.
So you would put plants or shrubbery in between your property and the next door neighbor?
Yes, there is shrubbery there now.
And the 20 feet in is from the street line, the
property
curb line?
In the property line.
Is that the curb line, or?
No, the curb line has a sidewalk, so the 20 feet in is from the property line in, and then the sidewalk is approximately, I think, 6 feet.
I was there today, and I saw cobblestones going towards the back. Does it go past those cobblestones when you go in, the 20 feet?
The cobblestones on
Yeah, going towards the rear.
right here. There's a walkway for the neighbor. It's the neighbor's walkway to the rear.
No, he means in the actual yard, there's some cobblestones that lead it out, and it stops
Before that?
significantly before.
Yes, sorry. Yes, the driveway would end approximately 20 feet before the house. The house is set back 40 feet, the existing home. The driveway would only be 20 feet long. So there'd be approximately 20 feet between the driveway wall and the front wall of the house.
It's 12 feet wide.
12 feet wide, yes. This is that proposed layout. There would be some stairs coming down from the end and then connecting to the existing main walkway. We did also look at a lot of the other properties along the street. So this is basically taking an inventory of the off-street parking situation on Kensington Road and understanding how it's developed over time and how the different owners use the properties. So there's, again, a mix of buildings. They have semi-attached single-family residences, 2-family residences, detached townhouses. There's a lot of different types of properties. In the principal points letter that we provided, we also did a tabular analysis of what this actually means. So there are 18 structures on the west and east side of Kensington Road within 400 feet in each direction. Of the 18 structures, 10 of them have front yard parking. So that's 56%. 16% have garages that are accessed through that front yard to a rear yard garage.
Are you counting Oval Court on that? Oval Court?
No,
You're not counting that, okay, got it,
it's just Kensington Road.
okay.
Oval Court has a different kind of...
Yeah, I know they do, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. There's one property that has side yard parking but no garage. And then there are 7 properties, these are structures, I'm sorry, I'm saying properties. Some of these structures have multiple properties, like townhomes. But just talking about structures themselves. So 7 of the 18 structures have access to rear yard parking. So that, like, similar to what my client has and the townhomes to the north, with the long driveways and a single access to get there. So this is that tabular analysis that we provided. It describes the type of structure, where the parking's located, how it's accessed, and if they have a garage. In providing this information, we just wanted to convey that this is an existing condition that has occurred on Kensington Road, and essentially is there. And we would, again, we would like to present our application to show that this is the best way to provide a parking space for our clients, and also meet the fabric of the neighborhood, as well as provide safety, and also provide a certain amount of understanding that more pavement could contribute to some historical flooding in this area, because that's another item that we're also trying to address here. That it's probably important to note that while it looks like it's going downhill, MTA is actually sloping the other way. So the tracks are at a higher elevation. So their backyards on the west are actually a valley. So that water just gets trapped. So we're trying, and flooding occurs very often on Kensington. So we're being mindful of trying to avoid any future flooding, because not only for our client, but also for the neighbors. We've tried to mitigate any development by providing dry wells in the front yard and the rear yard. So try to attack the problem where it occurs in the front, and also provide additional drainage at the back. So this drawing has, and we've also done some perk tests to understand the perk rate of the soil. Actually, it was pretty favorable. But again, the inundation that occurs from all of the water coming down from uphill in Bronxville, not just Kensington Road. We're at the bottom here. So it's really just, it overwhelms this area in those peak storms.
So where would the water, you're putting blacktop in there, so where would that rainwater flow?
There would be a trench drain. Thank you, Paul. There's a dry well proposed right here, 10 feet away, in the middle front yard. It would be connected to a trench drain to that dry well. This is a substantial dry well. It's a 330 XL. It's a very common Cooltech large dry well. There's another dry well proposed in this location just to address the existing impervious surfaces on the property. Because that water currently, when there is a big downfall, it just pools. And when it's some of the storms that we've had, some of the 100-year storms we have every 2 months,
Yeah.
it basically, it really causes some significant concern. So we do want to avoid that, because our client lives here as well, so he doesn't want to have a water issue. So we've tried to mitigate it at the top elevation and the bottom elevation. And again, it's a 20 by 12 foot driveway, so the footprint we're adding is minimal. It's a 200 square foot footprint. But again, being mindful that we don't want to contribute to a problem that's already existing.
How is the water handled now?
It typically, there isn't any proposed driveway in this area now, but for the other neighbors, there's a storm drain, I think, on the north side here. Some of the others have storm drains also that are connected to dry wells, or this could be connected to a sewer system, I'm not sure, but we did look at it. It's a very slow invert. It's only about 12 inches deep. It has gotten overwhelmed in the past. But Victor and I have looked at pictures of rainstorms, because we've been discussing this application for a while, and when there is these large rainstorms, the water just seems to, we haven't experienced that. I've known Victor a very substantial one, but we have seen some water just take time to dissipate. It doesn't really, you see it like start to elevate in a bigger rainstorm.
Another question. What's the parking situation on that road? Because presumably, this would remove a parking spot on Kensington? Is it parking allowed during the day, at night? How does this work?
I believe parking is permitted during the day.
Right.
No overnight?
No overnight.
Okay.
And right adjacent to our proposed parking space, there is that walkway that we had mentioned before.
Okay, but it would remove one public parking spot on the street
During the day,
during the day?
During time that parking is permitted.
yes.
Right. Okay.
However, we should note that during the day, typically tenants do not, the neighbors do not park in front of our house. If anything, we get an influx of commuter parkers that will park their vehicles there and commute, travel up Kensington to take the subway. So it's not essentially taking parking away from the neighbors. If anything, we'll kind of prevent people from neighboring towns and construction workers to park their vehicles in front of our house.
And do you have more than one car now? Okay, so how do you deal with your... Yeah,
The Kensington lot, I assume.
Yeah.
So we have a parking spot in Upper Kensington that we paid for.
Probably park next to me.
where is that?
It's, you know where you
Is it just up the
go up
hill?
Sagamore and you go down that little, what's it called? It's just up, it's Beach Street, exactly. It's just up the hill from the villa.
Oh, okay.
Just up the hill there.
Okay.
It's a parking space. There's
There's
parking
paid
spot.
parking now for the road?
It's paid parking,
You pay,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you pay by the year, I guess.
Have you,
Yeah, no, we did too, I know.
have you received any negative input from any neighbors?
We received several letters of support, actually, which we've enclosed in this package. We've not received any negative letters.
Or have you received anything negative from any of the neighbors, whether it's in the letter or not?
No, they're all gonna want front yard driveways. That's why they're all supporting.
Well, I don't know if you could in some of them, but, I mean, this is a detached house. And the ones to the right are all attached. The ones I saw, at least not the immediate right, are all attached. To the left, I thought they were detached.
So our left is all attached townhouses with very small yards. They would be feasible.
Right.
And to the right of us is it's also townhouses. They have driveways
Right.
already, or it's standalone houses that also have driveways. So it's not part of driveways.
I mean, one thing I'll mention is, I think it's fairly obvious, those other driveways you point out, those were put in well before the zoning code was changed. That's probably comes as no surprise. And the code was changed again recently, that 3-foot setback, I guess you're now in accordance with that. Is that right, Paul, the way they've changed it? That was under the new code, plus emphasis on no front yard parking and no, especially circular driveways. Now, that's not what we're talking about here, but,
So you're kind of in a unique place where you have to drive behind all that to get into your garage. And to get out, you have to get between all those cars.
well, they're not the only ones.
No, I know.
We live on Park Avenue, and our neighbors are on Midland, and we have the same situation. Now, I suspect it's not as congested, because we don't have townhomes. But I will just mention that we've been there a while. Other folks would very much like to put a front yard driveway on Park Avenue or on Midland. Those requests have come up before. Doesn't appear to be any public here, unless they're hiding.
Have any of your neighbors spoken to you about this and said what they think? Have you showed the plans to them? I mean, you sent them. You talk to them all the time, yeah, and they think it's a good idea, they say, yeah. Has anybody done something like this since you've been there? How long have you been in your house? Have you seen anybody doing anything like this to their house? I don't know. Those were all pre-existing driveways and pre-existing.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, I think they would need to.
Yeah,
If they want you to, there's not enough of a setback.
right,
Or to be able to tuck in
right.
from the side. You would be butting up against like their house.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Am I allowed to ask a question?
absolutely.
So,
Please do.
yeah, in your new drawing, right, you have a hedge in the front, right? And obviously there's public parking during the day. Is there anything, like, the hedges that you plan to put in, is it gonna be all around the parking spot?
Yes.
So basically you're just moving the hedge, I guess, back and then moving the car that would be on the road into the parking spot then?
Essentially, yes.
Right, right,
And it's for just the one car.
right. So just so we're clear, you're now requesting not 4 variances, but 3. Okay, that's correct?
Correct.
Now, and what's triggering the wall fence is the fact that you want the driveway to be level with the street, so you have to raise it, would you say 35 inches?
So yes, approximately 30 inch or 35 inches, and then we've curbed the top of the wall as like a bumper.
Right.
For the tires, and then in doing so, that triggers a building code where you have to have guardrail protection, so that's the fence.
Right.
So the fence on top of the wall is essentially creating the need for the variance. But as we've tried to show in the renderings and the elevations, I think it looks quite charming. Like, it has a nice picket fence that carries the theme of the rest of the properties, and then the stone wall would only be visible only a foot high from the street, and it's mostly visible from their windows, from their house. It's on the
There are a few other houses on that street doing the same? Is that what it is? A few other houses that are elevated like that? Are there a few more? Because all the properties drop, right?
There aren't many that drop. It's actually only a few.
Okay.
On the West Kensington side. A lot of the others are at elevation. A lot of the other properties with the front yard parking are at elevation. So it's really probably a handful that have the descending slope.
Yeah. I think I saw a few that had the same idea like this with plantings around it, and they park right here, but then they have a gate to their house.
Yes, that's
Are there a few of those down the street? I think there
on the south side, yes.
Yeah.
South of the property.
were. Upper, not down, yeah. Up, not down, right. I think I saw a few. Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Folks? Okay, then let me propose a resolution that the Zoning Board of Appeals grant to the residents of 87 Kensington the following 3 variances. Number 1, Section 310-1IJ, no parking space shall be located in any front yard. Proposed new parking space to be located in the front yard. Number 2, Section 310-11D4, fence and walls, max combined height 6.5 feet, proposed 7 feet, variance required 6 inches for the fence combination wall. Same section, 310-11D, fence and walls required to be not more than 1/2 solid. Proposed stone wall retaining wall requires a variance. Charlie, let me start with you.
Okay. I have a few thoughts. This is a very difficult one. You may not know this, or maybe you do, we get a lot of parking variance applications in front of us. Parking is very, very difficult in Bronxville, okay? Doesn't matter where you are, whether you're on Kensington, whether you're over on Sherman like I was for 20 years, or Sagamore. So parking is difficult. I know you have parking now. You have 2 cars, one on the Kensington lot, one in your garage back behind the building. we have rules in place regarding front yard parking. I can see reasons for variances in cases of extreme hardship. I'm not sure this is one of those, but that's, my feeling. The other concern that I have, other than the flooding, because flooding is also an issue in Brownsville, is that despite the fact that the village has said that you can have a curb cut, that curb cut and any successive curb cut that happens over there is going to is going to eliminate at least one parking space that exists now. And the other concern that I have is looking down the road, is whether we should be setting this kind of a precedent for the neighbors. I went over there. There are a lot of places that do not have front yard parking driveways, and I understand it's possible that maybe they can't, or it would be more difficult, or they would need even more variances. But if we vote yes on this one, then we're going to have a flood of neighbors coming and saying, well, we gave them front yard parking, and so why can't we have it? So for all of those reasons, and I hate disappointing neighbors, but I have to vote no. That's my vote.
Okay. John, your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I think the situation is somewhat unique. I don't see some of the issues that my colleague sees. I don't think it can be achieved in the variance in some other way. And I don't think it's that substantial, and I think it would be a benefit, and I vote in favor of the variance.
Okay. Janie, your thoughts?
This is really hard, you guys. This is a really hard one because we have been turning people down a lot lately for driveways. And it's not just the green space thing, it's the front yard parking. You guys have it tough. I understand you have your garage way down there. You do have another space, like Charlie said. I can so see why you need this. I really do see why you need it and why you would want it. But when we go through all the considerations, it's like, it's not, I wouldn't call it a self-created problem, but you knew what you were doing when you got there. You only had one space and you were luckily got a second space, but I'm gonna have to agree with Charlie and say no, even though it's really difficult. I'm sorry, but we will get other applications, and they do check other applications, and then they say, well, how come you said yes to this? And even though that may not match, I'm sorry, I'm gonna vote along with Charlie. No.
Yeah, the precedent here is really important for us. My colleagues have mentioned this, but it is safe to say that if this was approved, we would probably be deluged with applications for front yard parking, even on my street, I can assure you. And so for that reason, also, I cannot agree to grant the variance. So with that, unfortunately, the application is turned down. Okay? So with that, that concludes tonight's meeting, and thank you for attending.